Patreon Q&A number 110. I want to thank all 130 of my amazing patrons, guys. Thank you so much for continuing to support me the way that you have been. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers for all of the series I'm going to be talking about, so tread carefully. Chance asks, can you tell me all the monsters you wish Saitama didn't kill so we could see how powerful they would be against people like the S-Class, which would make better fights? Great question, and honestly, all of them. I wish all of the monsters, even like the low-level, insignificant ones that Saitama killed, he didn't, and they came back because, yes, I want to see them all go against the S-Class or just other monsters or other characters in general. I think that's one of the most fascinating aspects of One Punch Man is the matchups. Aside from like the lore, the mythology, the world, and all that stuff, it's definitely the matchups. I mean, we all know it. That is one of the serious strong points of this series. How it's not just vanilla or bland or, you know, it's easy to decide who would win and what not like in other series. In this one, there's so much speculation and there's so much fun to be had because just like in MMA, you know, you'll hear styles make matchups, and that's what One Punch Man is all about. But if I were to pick like, you know, like concrete which individual monsters, number one, Boros. And I know that I'm definitely not alone with that. Man, it would be awesome if Boros was still alive right now. Yes, he would still probably be the strongest character outside of Saitama currently in the manga's continuity, at least. Hard to say with the webcomic. But if he was still around and just lurking out there, that would be so incredibly cool. You know, what would happen if he went against Tatsumaki? What would happen if he went against Metal Knight? What would happen if he went against Silver Fang or Blast? You know, there's always those questions that linger out there. Would he probably win? Maybe, but maybe not. That's the whole thing about it. It's like, I want to see these matchups, and it's just so exciting to think about the possibilities of them. I've always talked about it, you know, throughout the years that like I wish that like Murata and One decided to just come together one day and just said screw it, and they made a bonus chapter that was like the VGS, the Virtual Genocide Simulation from the second audiobook, where they all take on Carnage Kabuto. But it's like an actual bonus chapter. We see it written out, and instead of Carnage Kabuto, it's Boros, and like a few select S-Class heroes go in there and they go against a simulation of Boros. Even if they get just stomped, I would be elated to see that. But speaking of Carnage Kabuto, he's another one that I would have liked to see live on if Saitama didn't defeat him and him go against the other S-Class heroes. Now, we actually did get to see that, like I talked about in the audiobook, and just the information that we got about that gave us so much more insight into these S-Class heroes than we have before. Like, he completely stomped Metal Bat, but then we didn't really get to go into the fighting spirit stuff, and then we saw him go against Zombie Man, and it was like, oh my god, Zombie Man is way stronger or more versatile than we originally thought. And then we saw that he pushed Darkshine to his absolute limit, and Darkshine was able to defeat him. That really bolstered all of these characters, but then it also goes back into that being a simulation. How accurate was it? How much is One trying to play with us in that audiobook? How much is actual concrete information? How much is just him forcing us to speculate for the fun of it? We'll never really know unless he clarifies it one day. But aside from those two, like Beefcake, I'd love to see Beefcake go against the other S-Class heroes. I think Tatsumaki could probably take him, but like, could Flashy Flash take him? Could Silver Fang take him? Could Darkshine take him? I'd love to see that. Vaccine Man, you know, the solid beasts from season 1. I just would really like to see them go against the S-Class heroes. Alice asks, which S-Class hero do you think you would vibe the most with? Like Friendship, definitely King. All of the other S-Class heroes are like weird or eccentric or just off-putting in their own kind of way. But King is definitely the most grounded and down-to-earth type of individual in the S-Class. I mean, there's a reason why Saitama likes him, aside from his supernatural abilities, which you can choose to believe or not. But, like, think about it. King is just like a bro. He's just a cool dude. He likes playing video games. He likes chilling. He's somewhat self-aware. He's humble. So, yeah, I'd love to hang out with King. Azzy asked, what young manga are you reading and what do you think has the absolute most potential? I've been reading Jujutsu Kaisen mostly. So I've been watching the Jujutsu Kaisen anime. I've been enjoying it so far. I'm looking forward to the rest of it. And then after that series is over, I'm going to go into the manga and maybe do some content for that on the channel. But the young manga right now is Marshal. That is what I am following mostly. That, you know, that kind of just have been in those, that new batch of mangas that have come out in the last year or so. It's fantastic. It has an awesome blend of humor and action and just a cool factor. The humor is similar to One's humor, and maybe that's why I like it a lot. But I really think Marshal is going to take off once it gets its anime. Beowolf asks, what was your favorite costume to dress up as a child? So, like Spider-Man or Luffy, because Luffy was really easy to make and Spider-Man was easy to come by. And I like both of those characters, and Halloween's definitely my favorite holiday. I don't really like any of the other holidays besides that. And your second question, do you think Suiko is going to be trained by Garo or Bang? I think that's something to really think about, and it's a possibility here because yes, Suiko's grandfather, the master of the Void Fist, he is out of the picture, and they purposely pointed that out. So it is possible that Suiko goes to Bang and she's like his next disciple, and then that's how she ascends to S-class level. I think that would be great, actually. It's less likely that Garo's going to train her, but I do think it's possible that she'll become aware of Garo, or they'll meet of something, because obviously Suiryu and Garo are about to have somewhat of an encounter. But I'm liking the possibility of Bang training her. I think that would be incredible. Delamante asked, if Garo were to kill Metal Bat's sister on accident, would Metal Bat's Ultra Rage boost plus Fighting Spirit get the win against Red Garo? Hard to say because we haven't seen Metal Bat get as strong as that yet. Could he, in theory? I guess. I mean, if you want to go off of the data book and take it literally, when it says like when his anger approaches maximum, when his anger is maximum, approaches infinity, something like that. Is that one trying to tell us that Metal Bat can become like disaster level god if pushed far enough? Maybe not. Hard to say. Based off of the feats and what we have seen on the pages of the manga, I would say that no, he probably can't, but at the same time, like, it's fun to speculate and say that he could. Derek asks, was wondering what type of abilities you'd like to see from Drive Knight's potential king form. I'd like to see like teleportation, crazy broken stuff like that. Like, in theory, I mean, I'm sure he can develop some kind of technology. I mean, if he can like do that pseudo nano stuff, maybe he can like teleport, or at the minimum just fly, you know, because that's something that should be standard. And then also just, you know, like crazy Sairochi beams and stuff like that. I'm a man of few wants. Like, just give me somebody that's like as strong as All Might with no really other flashy or glitzy abilities, and I'm good to go. So if he's like Meteoric Burst Boros, I think that would be awesome. Dino W asked, between My Hero and One Punch Man, which 5 characters talk the most trash to their opponents? So I can't give it like, you know, in an exact order, but off the top of my head, I'm gonna say Bakugo for sure in My Hero. Garo, I mean, he's always talking crap. Black S, can't forget about him. He's a trash talking machine and he's hilarious. Monoma from My Hero, that's a big part of his game, is talking trash. And then I guess Tatsumaki, she does talk a lot of trash, but maybe there's other characters that supersede her in that department. Not really sure. And then who's going to fill the 2 empty seats of the 7 now that Stormfront and the Deep are officially off? Great question, and it really could be anybody at this point. I will say one thing is that I do know that there's one more hero that we haven't seen yet. I'm not going to spoil who it is because I don't even really remember myself, but when I first got into the boys, I saw like a YouTube video suggested for like a hero who's going to be prominent, I guess, and we haven't seen him yet. So I guess it's going to be that one individual, and then for the other one, really unsure. Like Stormfront came out of nowhere in season 2, so it could be like another instance like that maybe. Ethan F asks, what disaster level would you give a nuke / all-out nuclear warfare? So yeah, all-out nuclear warfare, easy god level, but one nuke, especially the Sarbama, I guess it would be similar to the Meteor, you know, because I guess they would do somewhat of a similar damage. So it would be Dragon. And, you know, low, high, maybe high dragon or something like that. I think they're somewhat comparable at that point. GardenShed asks, who do you think would win in a fight between Tank Top Master and Atomic Samurai's disciples? Great question. I'm going to say Tank Top Master could probably win. Even though he hasn't had the best track record, he does look really impressive at some points. Like, he almost beat Garo. Like, if it wasn't for Garo's hacks, he likely would have defeated him. And also, like, that feat of strength that he had recently in Chapter 134 when he hucks that tower. Like, man, that's difficult to compete with, that level of strength, which the disciples clearly do not have. Are they fast and are they skillful? Sure, but man, I'm thinking that like Tank Top Master could probably take them. I mean, could he tank their slashes? Hard to say. We haven't really seen him do anything like that yet, but I'd put my money on Tank Top Master. He seems a little too strong for them. Geruda asks, do you think we'll get a full-on flashback arc covering just All Might and Nana? No, we're probably not going to get that. If we're lucky, we'll get a one-shot bonus volume or manga or something where we see like a little bit, kind of like how we did with All Might Rising, although that was only supposed to tie in with the movie anyway. But I think it's very unlikely that we'll get something like that. I hope that we do. I'd love to get any kind of more information on the backstory of All Might as we could possibly get, but it seems like at this point we probably won't get it unless he decides to do something when All Might inevitably dies. Then we get to see a flashback at that point, but it'll only be like maybe a couple panels. I highly doubt we'll get an entire arc dedicated to it. Joe D asks, how do you think Blast will be properly entered into the story? Will it be after the battle with God, before, during? So the battle with God's probably going to be at the very end of the series, so I doubt he'll come after that, because if he does, then it's kind of like, hey guys, I'm Blast, all right, the story's over, and that would kind of be anticlimactic. So I assume it's going to be before God. I actually think it's going to happen soon. It will probably happen in this current arc right now within the webcomic. I mean, we keep getting Blast talked about. Blast's son is here. It's like, it's time for Blast to show up. Like, come on. And your second question, Western comics would benefit greatly from the sense of scale and power that manga provides. Which Western canon character would you like to see get the manga treatment? I'd like to see what Murata could do with Superman. Hey, I agree. Superman, definitely. I think he would be awesome if he was toned down and put into like a manga setting. But I guess that's kind of what like Blast is going to be. Maybe even Saitama to an extent. But the reason why the comics are all overblown is because, well, they're from a Western sensibility, but also they've been, what, 80 years going or something like that. So the shark has been jumped over and over and over and over and over again, and they can only get to the point of where characters are self-aware. I remember reading that about Cosmic Armor Superman, like he's so powerful that he's aware that he's a comic book character or something. Jordan Zappala asks, what if Ninjutsu teamed up with Flashy Flash and fought Prime-ish All Might at the age of 42 in the Garo that fought Darkshine? So when you say Ninjutsu, is that a character that I'm not aware of, or are you talking about Sonic? I think you're talking about Sonic, maybe I'm wrong. But Sonic and Flashy Flash against Prime-ish Bang and Red Garo number 3. Is that what I call them? I think Prime-ish Bang and Red Garo would probably win, although it's super difficult to say because Flashy Flash was said to have been able to defeat that version of Garo, but then it's like, could Silver Fang, you know, use his reflexes to stop Flashy Flash? Is he that fast? Is he that powerful? Maybe. Maybe not. I think Sonic's kind of a non-factor here because either Bang or Garo could, you know, make short work of him probably, but Flashy Flash is the real X factor here. But him working together with the synergy that he would get from Sonic would just benefit Flashy Flash other than vice versa. So I think it ultimately comes down to if Silver Fang in his prime-ish could defend against Flashy Flash's speed, honestly. Kappa Megistus asks, should Zombie Man be higher ranked than his current standing? No, if anything, I think he should be lower ranked. But then again, we don't fully understand the rankings yet and why they are ranked the way that they are. So, like, I think a lot of it, I think it's implied that Zombie Man is one of the more popular heroes or something like that, and that goes into his ranking. But honestly, he's one of the lesser effective S-class heroes. I mean, yeah, he's strong, but, you know, he's like a war of attrition type of dude. So, if anything, he should be where, like, Darkshine is, and Darkshine should be where he is, or even higher, you know what I mean? And then, what cadre would solo humanity in our reality? It all comes down to if they could survive nukes or not, because that's what it's going to come to. Because like Elder Centipede in theory would come close to really hurting us. Goketsu could. I mean, he's so fast and so powerful. Black S could if he broke himself down into 7 billion copies, which he would, you know, he would still be pretty powerful at that point, considering he has 11 trillion. And then Evil Natural Water, Rover. It's like they could really mess things up. But as for them to get to the point of soloing all of humanity, they would have to survive nukes. And I don't know if they can. Maybe they can't. That would be a little too extreme if they could survive like modern nukes. L asks, Metalbat's fired up. Is he going to job to Airman and Destro so we can get some kind of scaling on these guys? Or do you think something else is going to happen out in this sequence? I think we might be able to have our cake and eat it with this sequence. I think that best case scenario, Metalbat fights Airman and Destro. Airman and Destro prove how strong they are, while at the same time Metalbat proves how strong he is, and they both come out looking pretty good, but then they escape somehow. Like they both go their separate ways, the explosions happen, or there's like a drill goes off or something, or somebody spots them or something. I think that would be cool. Like they both prove that they're like definitely dragons for sure, and then they, you know, go to their own corners. Legandaryus asks, I was thinking that Blue might launch a secret investigation on Saitama to see if he is some hidden card of the Hero Association. He's definitely going to do something. He's going to look into Saitama 100%, and that might actually be how maybe Blast comes into the picture if he is in fact a bearded worker, because the bearded worker obviously knows about Saitama. But yeah, for sure, he is going to look into Saitama. He's fascinated with him. He was interested with him, you know, with the whole My Mask incident. So now that he actually saw his power rather than just how fast he was, he's going to look into him. And your second question, do you think we'll get a transfer student in My Hero from a different country? It would help with world building. It all depends on what happens with this arc. Like, if this arc ends well for the heroes, then yeah, we definitely could get an exchange student, or Shinso joins Class 1A. But if it ends badly for them, you know, we can go back to that prevailing theory where they go to America and then they're the transfer students. And then we have a whole new class for them to intermingle with. That would be super interesting as well. Little Ferrari asked, what heroes in the 7 from the boys would rank in the Hero Association? So Homelander, Queen Maeve, Stormfront, easily S-class. Starlight, she's like fringe S-class, I guess. I guess she would be S-class. She got shot with a 50 caliber in the chest and took it. And I don't think there's many A-class, if any A-class heroes that could do that, possibly. I mean, One-Shotter did get in his eye, but he had like the thing to protect him. So, you know, maybe she would be A-class, possibly. Black Noir, maybe he'd be S-class. I guess he would be S-class. Possible. So most of the Deep would probably be A-class, and then A-Train definitely S-class, and then Translucent, maybe S-class possibly. I mean, he is nigh indestructible, so I guess he probably would be. Marshal asks, do you think they're going to connect the Abandoned Masses, the 11, the Organization, and the Neo Heroes, and any normal monsters into one enemy? Do you think he's leading us to this master plan to try to get as many factions using each other for the greater goal? That would be interesting if something like that happened. I'm not really sure where all of this is headed. I assume that the Abandoned Masses and the 11 were maybe like one's version of Planet Hulk. You know, like when the Civil War went down in Marvel, Hulk got sent to, I forget exactly where he got sent. I mean, I know where it was in the MCU, but I don't remember in the actual comics. But, and then that Hulk became Planet Hulk. But they sent the Hulk away because he was like, you know, a liability to their Civil War. And I'm thinking that Tatsumaki and Flashy Flash are gone because we're going to have a Civil War here. And them being included in it would make the Hero Association too powerful. You know what I mean? So either that's going to happen, or they're all going to come together and then there's just going to be this one all-out war, not even a civil war, which both possibilities are pretty awesome. But as for Otento being above Dragon, I think that's unlikely. Knowing one, and especially how he treated the ninja leader, at this point I wouldn't be surprised if Otento isn't even a dragon. You know, maybe he's just a demon. And the same thing for the Abandoned Masses. But as for the ninja leader coming back, I think that's more likely than anything. Mr. Awesome asks, how strong do you think Prime All Might would have been without One for All? I think he probably would have been as strong as like Endeavor is right now, like physically strong, maybe even a little stronger than that, but somewhat around like that superhuman level of strength that doesn't require a quirk. Second question is, how strong do you think 100% plus Ultra Shigaraki would have been if he was left in the pod in full time? Would he compare to Prime All for One? Man, I mean, maybe he would. It seemed like a lot of Prime All for One had to do with his quirk set, which we haven't seen Shigaraki use. When we got a glimpse of what Prime All for One was like, he had like that crazy like Cronenberg mutation stuff going on in the city, and he also had those crazy energy stuff, like blowing up that city or wherever they were. And that's really what made him so broken from what it appears. So if Shigaraki at 100% is capable of utilizing that energy projection quirk, then yeah, he'd be right on that level. Nathan W asks, besides Suiryu or Blue, do you think any of the Neo heroes will stay around after this arc and become mainstay characters? If so, who? I think Webigaza is going to get a redemption. I think that given that we got her tragic backstory, I think maybe the Hero Association or maybe Dr. Kuseno, if he's a good guy, verdict still out on him, might alter her so that she doesn't have to be reliant on whatever the organization did to her and like take out whatever mind control stuff. And then she becomes, you know, redeemed and she's a good guy. And then she becomes an S-class hero because they need more females, obviously, and she would be a great addition. And then Raiden. I think Raiden, he's pretty much not unredeemably bad at this point. He seems to think that he's doing the right thing. So I think it's a possibility that Raiden might join the S-Class too. But aside from that, I don't think A is. A's pretty much full-blown bad guy. I think he's going to go to jail or become one of God's disciples or something. Nitrote asks, what is your most craziest random guess about the next chapter's events? I'm going to go with what I've been hoping has been happening based off of those leaked script notes from One and Murata. I'm hoping that Orochi separates from Psychos and that Tank Top Master, Metal Bat, and the other S-Class heroes fight against Orochi and they defeat him with the help of Tatsumaki. That's what I think would be awesome if that happened. Samurai asks, Flashy Flash versus Zoro and Atomic Samurai versus Zoro. In terms of movement speed, Flashy Flash is obviously faster. I'd be willing to bargain that Atomic Samurai's striking speed is faster than Zoro. What happens in both these fights? I mean, I agree with both of those. Flashy Flash has better feats of speed than Zoro, and Atomic Samurai, it's hard to say. We know that Atomic Samurai from the data book can slash 100 times in a second. Can Zoro do that? Unsure at this point. We haven't really seen him do anything like that, or at least it hasn't been said that he has. So, man, I love Zoro. I don't want to sell him short, but I don't think he could defeat Flashy Flash. It seems like he would be more competitive against Atomic Samurai than anything, but even then, I'm not sure. I'd really have to go in on his feats to get you a more accurate question on that. One day, I'm going to go in on Zoro and try to do a power scaling video on him. Simone Kamina asks, how many days has passed from Awakened Garo to Saitama encounters Rover and Black S? I think it's been just one day because like after Saitama walks away from that whole sequence, it's like the day is over and then it says something like that. So I guess it was like the following day that he meets Rover and Black S. Surprisingly, not much time has passed in this series at all. Genos mentions that I think it was only a month or maybe a month and a little bit since he actually met Saitama. So yeah, it hasn't really been that long. Second question, do you think Tongara and Soshi are eaten by Orochi's goop? I mean, it's possible, but Orochi's goop isn't revealed until chapter 127 or 128, around there. So if they are eaten by it, then that would also have to be retconned as well. Like the reveal of his goop, it would have to be revealed way sooner than what it actually is, which is possible, I guess. Steven asks, both Genos and Webigaza are willing to do anything to catch their white whales. Is her character meant to foreshadow what will happen to Genos? Could she succeed in her quest, show the futility of vengeance, And will she choose a different path that Genos had to rethink his own path? Maybe there's some parallels there. I mean, obviously they both have very similar backstories, I suppose, but Webigaza doesn't really have the whole vengeance thing. Like, she wasn't wronged or anything. She's just chasing a dream, as where Genos is, going after the mad cyborg, aka Drive Knight. But I think, if anything, Webigaza is just another character to supplement the S-Class heroes eventually, because like I said before, I think she's going to be redeemed. And maybe she'll have some kind of connection to Genos, and maybe he'll learn something from her, but I don't think he's going to stop chasing the mad cyborg. I do think that story is going to come to fruition for sure. Wolffire54 asks, do you think the same logic of Guts' hair turning white from the stress of pushing himself can be applied to how Saitama lost his hair from strength removing his limiter? At the face value of it, absolutely. When I first read One Punch Man, I thought that explained it. The stress of removing his limiter led to him losing all of his hair, and that could still be the exact reason as to why it happened. But going deeper into the story, I think that we witnessed his transformation into a monster. Like, it's just him losing his hair and becoming bald. But also it could be chalked up to the stress and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, the similarities and the logic is definitely there for sure. Zeldoor asks, you're dropped into the One Punch Man world with no special abilities, and in 1 month you must defeat a demon level threat. How do you train / prepare for this, and who might you go to for help? So if I only have 1 month, which is not a lot even in the world of One Punch Man, I would go to Dr. Genus and I'd be like, do with me what you will. Make me as strong as you possibly can. Worst case scenario, I become Zombie Man. Best case scenario, I become Carnage Kabuto. So, either way, I'm going to be able to defeat a demon level threat. Brushyboi asks, Toichiro and Mogami versus Tatsumaki. Who do you think wins? Hard to say. They both have awesome feats, both super powerful. Mogami and Toichiro have like the 2 best episodes in season 2. But right now, it seems like Tatsumaki maybe could edge them out. Like I said, hard to say, but man, the fact that Tatsumaki could deal with Sairochi and her, continent level feats, which at this point surpass both Toichiro's and Mogami's feats from season 2. So I think that she could probably take them, especially what one said about Mob versus Tatsumaki, which is, a whole other video. I'll need to go into that. Question 2, do you think Daedra Genos could take on any of the DBZ androids? If so, who? People are just going to say, well, the androids can blow up galaxies and solar systems, even though they haven't proven that they can. Just talking about the Dragon Ball Z, not Super androids. I think he could probably take on most of them, if not all of them, not counting Cell and whatnot. Aside from saying that they could destroy the planet with one of their beams, which they haven't done, but in theory and backscaling and all that stuff, maybe they could. But, Genos, his blast was pretty impressive, like when it ricocheted or when it collided with Sairochi's and it went off into like the atmosphere and it blew up. We saw how crazy that was. But yeah, these type of questions just get you into trouble regardless of how you want to break them down. If you don't say the androids completely stomp Genos, then you're basically wrong, I guess. Chasey asks, Dr. Genus sends Darkshine in the wormhole through space and time to square off against Mike Guy. What happens? This is another question that's going to get me in trouble. Going to go to what Kishimoto allegedly said. I don't know if it's completely true if he said this. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But like Madara being as strong as Nappa from DBZ. Does he mean like base Madara? Does he mean like Sage Mode Madara? I don't know. But like Goku defeated Nappa. And then afterwards, we saw Goku, going to Namek and training inside the Capsule Corp ship with the gravity. At that point, like before he got adept to it, Darkshine had better feats of strength, like in the gravity that we've seen in, I think, chapter 121 or something. So physically, Darkshine is proven to be stronger than Goku at that point. I mean, obviously, Darkshine can't shoot an energy blast out of his hand that can destroy the moon the way that Goku can and most other DBZ characters. But if that Goku was able to defeat Nappa, and Nappa is as strong as Madara, and Night Guy did pretty good against Madara, then I guess it would be somewhat competitive between Darkshine and Might Guy. This is going to anger a lot of people. There's probably people right now like, but the answer is I don't know, and there's no way to say for sure, I guess. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 130 of my amazing patrons. Guys, thank you so much for your continued support. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, just simply check out the Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Trying to reach 100K by the end of the year. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.